The main character in the Warlock's house is Henri More. He's an ex-New York City police detective in the homicide department. He's now a private detective. And I guess his key skill that he discovered was the use of body language in interrogation. So he became very skilled at pulling out confessions from murderers, almost without them understanding how he was doing it or the other police officers. And there's a scene which I actually took out of the book where we really get to see this happen. And his colleagues have called him in for a consultation while he's a private detective. So he can't actually go in the room with the criminal or the suspected murderer. But he trains his colleagues how to use their body language to draw out the confession. And one of the detectives, who's a woman, he has mimic how he thinks the murderer experienced the murder victim, the wife of the man they think killed her. And he also trains this female detective in how to use the suspect's own body language. He's a very superior, kind of smug man. How to use his own smugness and body language against him in the interrogation room. And after training both of these officers, he watches them go into the interrogation room and follow his instructions while talking to one of the officers in an earphone. So this is something he's trained himself to mimic people's body language and then to use it as a way to kind of get around how people present themselves. Different places have very different feelings, and that can be true in the city or in the countryside. You can be in an apartment in New York that is almost exactly the same as the one across the hall, and still there's something a little uncomfortable. And I find the same thing in the countryside, that there are parts of nature that make me feel good. And then there are places that feel a little creepy. Maybe sometimes you get the feeling something has happened there. And I really like when I'm reading a thriller that there are moments related to place or not related to place where I get a feeling. I'm not sure. There doesn't have to be something unpleasant happening, but I get a feeling that's a little disturbing. And right here, where we are now, to me this is pretty neutral. I can't say that it makes me feel good or bad. It's not particularly scary. But if you look back there at the, it's not even a complete tree house. There's just some boards in a tree. And right there, I just get a little feeling of mystery. What is that? Who did that? Why is it there? The book takes place in primarily two places, both in the state of New York. Most of the novel is in New York City, Manhattan. But there's also an important part of the book that takes place in upstate New York, in the countryside, where there's an abandoned house. No one lives there, obviously, but there are fields around the house that are well mown, and the house itself, the outside at least, is taken care of. I liked both environments, New York City, Manhattan streets, because I think at night especially it's a little bit mysterious what's going on in other apartments behind windows and in the alleyways between buildings. And then also to have something mysterious perhaps happening at or in this house out in the countryside. So those two contrasting locations. two writers that I really like and I'd say influenced this book are Harlan Coben and who's the other one? John Connolly. What I really like about Harlan Coben's novels is that you may know what's going on in the given instant. So it's very clear what's happening on the page that you're reading. You understand it exactly, but still you don't really know what's going on. And I love that sense of, I wouldn't call it mystery in Harlan Coben's books, but of confusion. A very realistic description of confusion. And he manages to keep you guessing for almost the entire book, if not the entire book. And I really enjoy the kind of roller coaster confusion of that. The other author, John Connolly, very different feeling. He's an Irishman, I believe, but he seems to know an incredible amount about Maine, New York City, Louisiana, American General, New York City Police. And his main character is an ex-New York City policeman who now is a private detective. And what I really like about his novels is there's a supernatural element, maybe not. In any case, his books mix genres between a police or a detective novel and then a supernatural thriller. And I think it's fascinating when these two worlds come together, especially because in his version of it, the supernatural world and the sort of realistic, gritty cop world are both vulnerable to each other and can affect each other, even though you might not think they would.